The Flash is a character that's seen many adaptations over the past few decades in movies, animation, live action shows, Lego, video games, and naturally that comes with a lot of unique and different takes on the Scarlet Speedster suit.
So someone tell me why it's so damn hard for them to make it work.
I mean, they rarely get it right, and they just want to be different so bad. Seriously, it's not that hard. Take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, add some yellow, the boots, and that, and boom, there's the suit. You're welcome, James Gunn. That'll hold the legacy up for the next 2 decades. I expect my payment in cash. Thank you. I'm no designer, but I know what a damn good suit looks like. The problem with most suits now is talked about a lot, so I don't need to get too much into it, but they tried too hard to deviate from the original concepts and to reinvent them, leading into really ugly over-designed costumes. It's a problem with a lot of superhero costumes with what people call the MCU Effect, where they all have the same generic lining and padding as a sad attempt to modernize the suit. Alright, I know I spent the first bit ripping into how they never get the suit right, but they actually have a few times. So let's start positive by talking about the good suits, starting with the 90s suit. Yeah, this suit, hella attractive. It's simple, it's comfy, it looks like something that my grandma's couch would be made out of. It's just lacking the gold boots, but other than that, very cool. I'm not gonna nitpick it. What this suit gets right is its simplicity. It's a translation from an outfit from comic to live action, absolutely unapologetic, and gets the job done, which is what most of these newer suits fail to get right. The CW suits, on the other hand, for the most part get the job done. They manage to balance the looks between practicality and staying true to the original design while also retaining its unique identity, aka a shit ton of leather. The suit for basically the first 3 seasons is iconic and just really solid. It just screams the CW Flash. The 4th season suit is a bit of a cutie pie. This leather jacket type thingy, like even more leather and the brighter colors. I love the lining, you know, it just looks good. Again, another really solid take on the classic design. This one's my personal favorite. And then there's the current suit, well, the season 6 to season 9 suit, which is a lot of people's favorite, and this one's good. It's comic accurate, it has the boots, it's not over the top, it's not made of leather, it's safe, and I like it. And then they went and made a nanotech, which is I do think the Flash is one of those cases where the extra lines work, but they just fuck it up so often. So it's either you do the lines and get it right, or you don't do it at all.
Like this edit I saw on Google, which is pretty damn good.
But just like the quality of this show, the quality of the suits is inconsistent as flippity. We got the season 5 suit. It's just painful looking at it. This suit is the result of prioritizing comfort over looks, and you know, that's fair. It must be painful to wear tights for hours on end, and actors' comfort should be the priority. However, it still looks off, and the lack of yellow makes it look like someone just used the MS Paint bucket tool. Didn't you say that no lines was good? Shh. I think when the no lines work is when the suit looks more skin tight. Otherwise, it looks really bland, especially when the suit doesn't have much going for it. It doesn't have a personality, it doesn't have a charm like the other suits do. The helmet is chunky, the lack of a strap makes my stomach churn, so while it's not a result of trying to deviate from standards or over-designing, it's still ugly. Moving on, a small trend I see with Flash's suits is the attempt to make it look like armor, and like, sure. I mean, it can work and it has in the past, but I don't really get why. He's a speedster. His suit's supposed to look comfortable for running and sleek for agility. The armor is protection that he doesn't need since he ends up being fast enough to dodge most things that could harm him. Like, look at the Injustice suits. A lot of armor and it just looks really militarized, which is not something the Flash is and should be known for. I don't know what's up with the designers making everything look military by adding padding, lines, and sections and shit. It's a fucking onesie, let's make it stay that way. This continues on over to other video games like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which is a disrespectful piece of dookie, but we don't really need to get into that right now. It has orange lenses, which I was never huge on. It's armored, and I kind of like the red and black, but this suit does not do it well. And it gave him underwear. The suit looks like it was made by Tony Stark, if I'm being honest. There are some cases where the armored suit looks okay. The Snyder Flash suit isn't egregious to look at, but it doesn't really scream Flash. Though it does do the red and black pretty well, and I like the wiring. It's just not necessary. It's a bit over-designed, and it does look a bit military, just not as much as the others did. But at least this one has a bit of a personality. It's a decent suit, just not one I'd go out of my way to look at. Well, except for this video. Sometimes it's not even armored, and it's just bad looking, like... I don't even have to explain why this one isn't it. Just look at it. It's like putting a dude who likes tentacles next to a dude who likes feet. Like, sure, I guess one's worse than the other. And now, the infamous, the dreaded, the abysmal, cinema's biggest atrocity, the Flash 2023 suit. It's like you list everything I said makes a good Flash suit, like the simplicity, but do it in a way of malicious compliance, because good lord, it's ugly. They just couldn't help themselves. Going back to my original analogy, it's like you add someone who likes Vor into the mix. Now suddenly everyone looks like a saint. The fact that it's mostly CGI is the worst part. I'm gonna go on a little rant here, so bear with me. I'm sure the people who worked on this are really talented, but because of the budget cuts, it looks like an unfinished Blender project. The lack of a belt makes it look like it's waving its willy loud and proud. Seriously, I know Ezra Miller's a criminal and all that, but even his suit makes me feel harassed. The suit has lines, which is an element that works on the Flash, yes, but it's only yellow when he runs, which makes it redundant since I can't see it because I'm looking away every time he runs with that goofy ass form. Like, yeah, okay, it's a good concept for it to glow when he runs, but when you CGI the whole thing, it just looks so off. And the fake abs, like, why? They don't even get the boots right. They're trying so hard to be different. It's so unnecessary. And don't get me started on the Flashpoint suit or this thing. So, what have we learned? Over-designing equals bad. Okay, maybe there's some gray areas. Maybe I started this video off too negative, and there are some good suits here and there. I just hate the other ones. When designing is done with a purpose and the suit's context is taken into account, it works really well. Then it doesn't become over-designing, it just becomes designing. Like, for example, the training suits. Obviously they were bad, but they're supposed to be. They're training suits. I actually like this homemade suit. I think it's kind of cute. Just stop showing me his bulge. I think the over-designing kind of reflects onto the movie's writing. It's trying to replicate the Flashpoint Paradox comic and by extent the movie, which are both really fucking good, but it's trying too hard to deviate from the original source material in order to stand out, which normally isn't a bad thing at all, but by the way it goes about it, it seems like it's so focused on trying to be different rather than to tell a unique story. The cameos in it are all just there so the audience can point and laugh in the screen and go, "Hey, I know that guy!"
There he is! There's my favorite white boy!
When in reality, most of the cameos in this movie are incredibly disrespectful and gross. That also applies to the suit, being so locked in on being different for the sake of it, rather than to make a unique take. I think the over-designing kind of reflects onto the movie's writing, where they honestly just use the comic to pander to comic book fans, yet don't do anything with it. Like, look at Thor Love and Thunder or Secret Invasion, where they were told not to read the comics. And with the new DCU starting this December, obviously they're gonna need a Flash. Flash is one of the 4 main pillars of DC. Whether they go with Wally West or Barry Allen, I could go either way. I personally would much rather have Barry Allen so he can finally be written properly, and not whatever the fuck they tried with the last Abomination. But regardless of who they pick, I think if you get the suit right, it kind of reflects on the character. It needs to be simple, comic accurate, while also giving that new modern feel to it. That balance is what most adaptations fail to get, and the desire to stand out makes it fall apart. If they go with Barry, they should keep it simple. They're probably going to go with the new 52 design, and honestly, I love that suit. It's heat. But if they go with Wally, I want them to start out with this look. I hate when they get the suits mixed up together. He should have the white lenses and the shorter logo. And even if Wally's the main Flash, they shouldn't just write out Barry like they did in DCAU. Eventually, he should be able to get into his own red and white suit, finally leaving Barry's shadow and living up to the Flash's legacy. If they do both of that, you could have Wally start out with the Kid Flash suit and then go through the growth, which honestly I'd rather see because then we get to feel how meaningful the accomplishment of taking up the mantle is. I want to go into further detail of what I want for the Flash for the DCU, but this is a video about suits, so I have to act like an annoying Spider-Man fan and nitpick everything I don't like.
Ah, it's too red!